See, the topic that we have missed out, lineage and descent, we will cover it here. Okay, so kinship system is broadly defined as the way in which society defined relationship with persons interrelated by blood, adoption, marriage. So when we talk about kinship system, we are basically talking about various relationships. Okay, so kinship system means it is relationships or relatives. So if I am saying this is my kinship system or this is my kin group, means I'm talking about my father, my mother, my cousins, okay, my all relatives. Okay, so kinship system, and even wife also, wife's family also. So all these are actually part of your kin group. So kinship system, the concept is broader. It is connected with, relationship with other person. It can be blood relation, your brothers, sisters, cousins, etc. It could be adoption, it could be marriage. Okay, so kin group will actually decide the relatives. So it's a wider kin group. Now, this relatives, when you are choosing, you have different possibilities. Like for example, if you take only your family, here you can see your father, mother, and only one person. Let's say this is a nuclear family. So if you want to confine to this is the smallest descent group. Okay, so second, if you go beyond means this is your father, mother, and child. Okay, so or this is you, your wife, and child, and you can also consider here your father and mother. So actually it is widened, right? Now this father, this couple might have other kids also, like your sister. So okay, so this and another family. So if I'm going one step further, what you can see here is for this person, earlier we were only talking about this group. This is an elementary group, this is a family. But now if you are considering this group, it is actually slightly broader group. So their kids will also be part of it. Okay, so this is your cousins, like that. So you can broaden your relations, depends on the way you choose your ancestor. So if you are considering your grandfather as your ancestor, you can limit your kin group to this. Now if you consider his father as the ancestor, then furthermore you can expand, right? You can get another family here, so they also will have similar kind of setup. So it will be broadened. So descent or kinship system is basically all about relations and relatives, how you select your relatives or who are actually your relatives. So that is what actually we are going to decide, and how the relatives are decided on the basis of descent principle. So what are the different descent principles is what we are actually going to see in this session. So I'm talking about kinship system, I'm talking about relations. It can be blood, adoption, marriage. I'm talking about relatives, how you are choosing the relatives. It can be one generation, it can be 2-3 generation. Then if I take a long time, it will be like you will get a broader big group, right? So these are the different ways in which you can select your relatives. These systems of relations are governed by culturally specific norms and values. So how to select relatives and everything is actually culturally specified based on certain norms. These are in the nature of unwritten rules which govern the way people interact with each other in the sphere of consanguineal relation, means blood relation, okay, and affinal relation, that means marriage relation. Kinship system is based on primarily two broad aspects. One is descent and lineage. So you can write this as your introduction, reduce it to 20-30 words and write this as the introduction. Then we are going to discuss about descent and lineage. When we talk about kinship, these two are important. Further we talk about descent. Descent is the method of limiting the recognition of kins. Kins means relatives. Okay, kins means basically relatives in the kinship system. These are in the nature of principles which unite people in certain kin groups. So there are certain principles on the basis of which it unites people in the kin group. Thus, descent decides the person's place in a particular group, which become the source of his identification. So descent is actually deciding your identity. Descent is actually placing you in a particular kin group. Okay. One of the most common descent principle is the recognition based on common ancestor. So for example, if I am talking about this person and another person, if they have common ancestor, then we are tracing the identity from that common ancestor. Okay, ancestor means father or father's father, or beyond that also it will go, maybe 3 generation, 4 generation. Okay, you claim the ancestorship like that. All the descendants of that ancestor are considered as part of one kin group. Okay, so I hope you understood here. For example, this is the first person. Okay, then from that a lot of people emerged. Okay, from here also family, from here also further family, from here also family, from here also different families. But this person, if he is tracing the identity from this common ancestor, then his kin group is actually this entire people, right? All these are considering him as the descent or the common ancestor. Then all these are related. Yeah. Gotra, not saying one of the descent group is Gotra. I'm coming to Gotra. So descent means selecting ancestor. Different ways in which you can select ancestor. Out of that, one will be Gotra or clan or subcaste. In different ways you can say. Okay. This also results in the system of obligation between two kin relation. The manner in which common ancestor is chosen result into formation of various descent groups in society. So various descent groups is now what we are trying to understand. The smallest descent group is the family. After family we have lineage. So here we have answered this also, lineage. So what is lineage? Lineage is actually part of descent group, right? So when we are trying to identify, so here you can see descent groups. The first group is family, second is family, second is lineage. Okay. Then Junaid, your mic is on. Junaid, your mic is on. Okay, so the first group, it is like this. You are chasing your ancestors. So the first group is actually family. Okay, so let me show you here. This is family. Then number of families together. Let's suppose all these are families. So different number of families together, they all will consider the common ancestor. That is what? Lineage. Okay, so this is one of the meaning of lineage. Now understand it very carefully. We will try to understand lineage in 2 dimensions. So this is one of the dimension, lineage as a part of descent group. So here we are actually talking about descent. Descent means it's all about the way in which you select your ancestor. So in case of family, you don't care about any ancestor. This is a primary group, only your father, mother you're concerned about. Then if you go to next level, lineage. So number of families will be together. So lineage means it's up to 5 generation. It may be up to 5 generation you go. Okay, so then okay, so up to 5 generation you'll go, and then different lineages together. Above that you have clan, and this is what you also understand as Gotra. So different lineages. Here the common ancestor may be 7 generation, 8 generation, or maybe even a mythical ancestor. Okay, you may not even know who is the ancestor, but you say that we all belongs to that. Okay, so that is a clan or Gotra. Even if you go further, there is a higher level. This higher level is what is fratry. In some tribal setup and all you can see, or fratry can also be understood as caste. Okay, so caste is nothing but expanded kinship system. So it will go further, widen, and at the end of the at the top you will find caste, or fratry is similar to caste. Okay, so I hope you understood. First we are talking about family, that is the smallest descent group. Here we are not talking about any ancestor or anything. So number of families together. So this is family, number of families together, lineage. So if you want, you can show like this. These are families. Okay, so these all are families. So number of families, these all are families. The number of families, lineage. Okay, now number of lineage, you can, if you want, you can show. This is one lineage, the bigger one. Similarly, number of lineages. Okay, so further, you know, your common ancestor will go further. When it comes to lineage, it is 5 generation. Okay, some books will tell you 4 generation, 6 generation, etc. So number of lineages, another wider group, that is what? Clan, or you will call it as Gotra. Now I have told you before, clan exogamy is permitted. You cannot marry within clan. because only 5 generation, and there is a high possibility that all these members are blood related. Okay, now there are some societies where entire clan or Gotra members live in the same village, village 1, village 2. So village, can you marry from village in that context? No, that is what village exogamy. Some textbooks you will see village exogamy. The reason is it is not because of village, it is because of this principle, clan Gotra. You cannot marry from Gotra, you cannot marry from the same clan. Right? So entire clan living in the same village, so you cannot marry from the village. It is not, the actual principle is not based on village. Actual principle is based on the common ancestor and the descent. Okay, now further if you go, you have fratry. Okay, so this is similar to the caste. Caste is a wider group. So in simple language I can tell you, extended kinship is the caste group. Okay, so this is the best way to understand the concept of descent. Many students are trying this and studying this without understanding, just by reading the definition. So I hope you understood. Let's go to the PDF once more, and if you have any doubt, we will discuss descent again. Okay, lineage. Okay, so lineage consists of members which are considered of descendants of a common ancestor whose identity is known. Commonly up till 5 generations. It can be 4, it can be 3 also. It depends. Okay, it consists of families. Okay, so that is what I have shown you. Number of families. That is what lineage. So all these are families. Means 5 generation. If you are taking, that consists of a lot of families. No, that's the idea. A number of lineage combined together to form a clan. So number of lineages, for example, families combined to form lineage. Now similar lineages combined to form a clan. Now clans will be together forming the fratry. Okay, so number of lineages combined together to form a clan, who are the descendants of common ancestor. Everywhere you can see common ancestor. Here also common ancestor, but 5 generation. Here common ancestor, but beyond 5 generation. Whose identity is forgotten and hence remain fictitious. A number of interconnected clans are also grouped into yet another wider grouping known as fratry. Fratry again are considered based on some ancestors having a mythical existence. You believe that somebody like that have existed before. So it is a mythical existence. Okay, here 5 generation, here identity is forgotten, here a mythical existence. In case of family, this is a lower level. There is no concept of ancestorship here. So these are the 4 descent groups. So the question is actually lineage and descent. And when we discuss about lineage and descent, within descent also lineage will come. So that is one aspect. Second aspect of lineage we need to discuss now. In socio-anthropological study, the term lineage has been used in 2 ways. Firstly, it denotes a descent group which consists of members who are descendants of the common ancestor whose identity is traceable. Right? So that is the first case. We have discussed up till 5 generation. So what we have discussed exactly the same thing as what we have written in this paragraph. So this is the first part. Denotes, it's a descent group which consists of members, that means kin group, who are the descendants of common ancestor. Identity is traceable means 5 generation. Exactly the same thing that we have written before. Secondly, the term lineage is quite often employed to denote the chosen line of inheritance or succession. So inheritance, from where you get your property. The chosen line of inheritance means it is related to property. Succession means identity. Okay, so based on this also you will understand lineage. So lineage or lineage, you can see from which line. So from which line, the chosen line of inheritance and succession, from where you get property, from where you get identity. So in patriarchal society, okay, what is a line? Line will be from father's side. So this is what you call as patrilineage, patrilineal. Okay, patriarchal society is obviously patrilineal. Matriarchal society is matrilineal. Okay, so this is what you mean by lineage. You can see this word lineal. So this is the second understanding of lineage or lineage. Inheritance and succession, the chosen line of. Nowadays you see succession, that means identity you may choose from father, okay, but inheritance, property you get from both mother and father, right? So there is no such clear distinction you can make nowadays in the contemporary times. So in this context, it is a principle which decides the line from which relatives are chosen to be combined into a kin group. For example, the term patrilineage in this context denotes the line towards male and the female line towards male. Okay, so patrilineage in this context denotes the line towards male, and matrilineage, you need to complete here. Matrilineage, the line to the female ancestor is then chosen. Okay, if it is matrilineage, female ancestor; if it is patrilineage, it is male ancestor. Similarly, matrilineage, okay, no, it is there. The term patrilineage in this context denotes the line towards male and a male ancestor, and a male ancestor is then chosen. Okay, this is not there, and a male ancestor is chosen. Similarly, matrilineage denotes the line towards female, and female ancestor will be chosen. In this way, various principles relating to lineage and descent results into different types of formation of kinship system or descent system. So that's about lineage and descent. Lineage you need to understand in two contexts. So one is part of descent. Okay, so when we discuss about descent means what? It's all about selecting your kin, means relatives. How you select your relatives? It is based on common ancestor. Now, depends on the way you select this common ancestor, you have different types. Firstly, family, there is no common ancestor, maybe your father you can say. Okay, and then you have lineage, that is the second descent group, where up to 5 generations you take the ancestor. Then you will have clan, and then you will have fratry. Okay, now different kinship systems, these are broadly two types. Is not there in the syllabus, but just go through it. These are broadly two types: unilineal and non-unilineal. Unilineal, there are simple. You can see matrilineal from mother's side, patrilineal from father's side, then complex. Non-unilineal, okay. So in non-unilineal, ambilineal, bilateral. So here you have, in this case, you will choose one ancestor. So you will only choose the ancestor in ambilineal. Everything else will be then fixed, the relations and everything. In case of bilateral, this is most common in US societies and all. You don't want to get into this details, okay. US societies and all, where you choose your relatives. Even in Indian urban areas also, this is very common. You choose your relative, you maintain a kin kind of relation with them. Even friends can be your relative in this context, okay. So these are different types of kinship system. Now, all these different descent systems are in the nature of ideal types. So these are again not pure form. Pure unilineal and non-unilineal system does not exist. Even unilineal system have element of non-unilineality and vice versa. So this is a very important paragraph that you need to write towards a conclusion. Most societies in the world follow unilineal principle, whereas Western society follow non-unilineal principle. So yeah, that's about lineage and descent. So in simple terms, it is all about choosing your ancestor. Especially, it is all about deciding your kinship system. Kinship system means it is all about selecting your relations or the kins. How to select that? These are two main principles, okay, out of which descent is more important. It is based on, descent is the method of limiting the kins. So you are limiting that this is my group. So this is my this is my kin group. These are my relatives. So different descent principles are there, like family, the beginning, lineage, clan, and fratry. So lineage is part of descent. That is the first understanding. Secondly, lineage is the line of inheritance and line of your identity. So that's about lineage and descent. A very important question. Repeatedly you can see this question, and if it comes, it's a must-attend question. This content is well prepared, very well structured answer. You don't want to read anything else for this. Maybe essential sociology you can go through for that. This is optional. For this part you will get examples like different societies, like tribal societies, etc. You will get some examples. So if it is optional, that you can just go through essential sociology here in this part. Apart from that, this is fine. But this conclusion is essential, this is must. So it is in the nature of ideal types, and I'm sure that you know what you mean by ideal type. Pure forms does not exist. You need to combine it to get the actual reality. Okay, that's it. Any doubts? Yeah, tell me, Arushi.
No doubts, sir.
Okay. See, this is a very simple topic. Don't make it complex. Whatever I have told you, that's enough for understanding this concept. It's a very important topic also.